Awesome. Could I ask you guys to introduce yourselves, please?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Lisa Ho. I am a project manager at Menlo, and I've been here for about 10 years.
Wow.
And I'm Kevin Freeman. I'm a software developer here at Menlo, and I've been here 2 years and 8 months.
Fantastic. And could you guys introduce Menlo, please? It's something of a different kind of tech company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you see behind us, you can see part of the factory. So we are a software creation company located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And our mission is to end human suffering in the world as it relates to technology, which is very vast and a big mission, but something that we're very passionate about. And we do that in a lot of different ways. So we like to build software that has a focus on the end user and actually delights the end user rather than frustrate them. And so a lot of our processes are around how are we creating the software that will meet their needs. So we spend a lot of time out in the world with end users, getting to know them, learning what their needs are so that we can create something that works for them.
We also have a focus not just on the end user, but on the client, because we've talked to a lot of clients that have gone other places and spent a lot of time and money and effort and never gotten a product, which is very frustrating to them. And our third, I don't think they're in order, our other focus is on the development team, the PMs and the developers and our quality assurance, our quality advocates and our high-tech anthropologists. We don't work a lot of overtime. We work nice hours. We have a nice environment. We take care of each other. We worry about the team. We don't try and exhaust the team for the benefit of the product.
Mm-hmm. We've also have a lot of people who come visit our company just to learn about our culture. So our CEO wrote a book. He's got a new one coming out pretty soon, but he wrote one a couple of years ago called Joy Inc. And it talks about how the culture is founded on the business value of joy. So everything that you see at Menlo has this focus on creating a joyful environment for the people that work in the environment and the people that we work with.
I think that's a fantastic way to run an organization. I've read the book. I love the book. I've actually been to Menlo. We were there back in 2000, I'm going to say 13 or 14.
Okay.
We were supposed to be there for an hour and a half, ended up spending the whole day there, sitting in the meeting room where you guys are sitting.
Oh, yeah.
And then really got a feel for the energy and this really positive vibe there is in the office. It just seems open, friendly. People are nice to each other, like you said, Kevin. So we are huge fans of the way that you guys run your organization. And also one thing that's very different is that you guys work in pairs, which is probably also why there are two of you talking to me now. Could you talk a little bit about the whole pair thing?
Yep. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about pairing?
Talk about pairing. What do you want to know about pairing?
I think the main question is, why do you do it? Who does it? And what do you get out of it? Because it's quite unusual. Normally one person has, you do your job, right? So to always have two people together is a little weird for a lot of people.
Two heads are better than one is my first thought. We pair on most tasks. We pair on all our development work. We pair on our high-tech anthropology work. Sometimes on our project management work. Some of the project management work we feel is straightforward enough that it doesn't need a second set of eyes. Pairing was an awesome introduction for me. This is my first software job. Came out of school, came here, and I didn't have to know everything all by myself. I didn't have to be entirely up to speed on a project. I didn't have to have all the ideas. When you get stuck, when you're working by yourself, you're just stuck for a while. And you're hitting Google and Stack Overflow and wherever to try and come up with something to find the bit of code you need. Here, there's a person next to you that even if they don't have the solution, they have some other idea that you don't. And then as part of Menlo, everybody that's working on the same project is at the same group of tables. We call it a pod. So if Lisa and I were working on something and neither of our ideas were working like we'd like, there's another group of people within earshot that we can just say, hey, we need a little help.
The nice thing from a project management perspective too is there's no one person that we're dependent for any part of a project. So for a client, it's nice for them to know if somebody's out sick or somebody goes on vacation, it's not going to hurt their project because we can easily plug another person in. So rather than building up towers of knowledge about a specific subject, we like to spread the knowledge throughout the team so no one person feels the burden of, I have to be the one to carry this forward. It also makes it nice. I will be going on maternity leave very soon, and it makes it nice to know that I can be away and be with my baby and not have to be checking emails, not have to be working. You know, we can take vacations and actually enjoy your vacation. It's amazing to me how many people I see on vacation who are still, they're not really on vacation because they're still checking their emails. They still have responsibilities at work. Here we make it so that when you're not here, you're truly, you know, unplugged from work.
It's not like there's no knowledge stuck inside one person's head. All knowledge is shared among the team.
Yeah.
Also, because even though you,
we know that one person is starting to become someone that we rely on for a project, we will intentionally take them off the project because we don't want to be relying on any one person.
That's brilliant. And of course, that whole approach also informs the way you hire people and the way you interview people. And you have a fascinating process for that, which I think is brilliant, and all companies should learn from that. Could you talk about how you do the whole hiring and interview thing at Menlo?
I can start.
Yeah, you can start.
The first thing most new employees' first experience or candidates' first experience is what we call an extreme interview. We are trying to get a whole bunch of people that have an interest in Menlo and an interest in what we do and want to work here. They come in as a large group, typically 20 to 40 people. We put them in pairs. So you and another interview candidate get paired up. You get a simulated task. Developers do an estimation task and some other unit testing tasks. Things that are related to what we do. We sit you down with your partner and we have a Menlonian observe the work. We don't really care, and it's not a secret, we don't really care what the outcome of the task you're doing is. We worry about how you get along, how you, we tell people your goal is to make your pair partner look good. You want your pair partner to get invited back. We don't worry about your technical skills so much at that point. We worry about, can you share the pencil? Can you play nice with others? Are you accepting of feedback? Can you give ideas and listen to other people's ideas? We mix up the pairs throughout the evening so that you get a chance to work with a few different people and be observed by a few different people. We send all the candidates home and we do a real quick thumbs up, thumbs down, and discussion about each candidate we saw amongst our team and see who we're going to invite back for the next step.
Before we go to the next step, which is also really interesting, what can happen? So you've been part of this process as Menlonians and seeing applicants go through this process. What can happen? So you have two people sitting across from you. You give them this task. They start solving it on paper. What happens?
Yeah, sometimes you'll see people work really well together and they just gel together. Other times you'll see someone who, even though we say we're looking to see how you involve your partner, how you work together, they're so concerned with getting the exercise done and they're crowding over the paper. They're not even like asking for input from their partner. And and we notice those things. We're observing to say, wow, like they're more concerned about getting this work done than helping their partner to be involved and be a part of it. It's interesting because it's not the kind of interview you can really prepare for. So I was really nervous when I came to do my extreme interview. because I had, I can prepare like answers to what's your greatest strength and what's your greatest weakness, and
Where do you
I
see yourself in 5 years?
sound like a strength, and you can have that all prepared to go. But when you're given this exercise and you're with someone you've never met before, you can't really prepare for that. So you just get to see actually how people really interact with each other. So it's interesting, and we have really good conversations about, okay, do we think that this person would be a good fit to bring in? Really, we'll ask like, okay, based on what you saw and observed, would you be willing to pair with this person for a day? Because since pairing is so core to what we do, we want to bring in people who can work with other people. So we hire for that first instead of looking at your resume.
Yeah, I guess some of the main advantages about this is, first of all, it's highly efficient, right? How many people can you run through this process at once?
Yeah, easily like 40.
Typically 20 to 40.
Yeah. And secondly, it breaks out of the traditional interview mold where you're asking all the standard questions, which people, people sit there. One friend of mine's called it covered in grease. They're so slippery you can't really get a hold of them. Yeah.
It also gives them a little taste, like the first time that they're meeting us, of here's what our culture is like, because the interview is set up to simulate what the environment is like too.
Yeah. Is it what's it like to so Lisa, you've been there 10 years ago, been there 10 years, so it's been a while since you went through that process. Is the actual interviewing, is it fun? Is it stressful? Is it, as an applicant, what do applicants say?
I thought it was cool when I did it. It was fun. It was unlike any interview I'd done. You actually got to interact with somebody and try different stuff. And I remember I'd known Ted, who works here, friend of a friend kind of thing. And I saw him at the end. I'm like, I know you. And he goes, yeah, we've met. What'd you think? And I'm like, this was fun. This was the best interview I've done. Because it wasn't me sitting down trying to get the right answer, trying to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
It was me interacting with somebody on, even though it was a simulated task, on an interesting task, and then getting some feedback, and that was pretty cool.
And when's the last time you heard that, right? When was the last time you heard somebody come out of a job interview and saying, that was awesome, that was fun, I want to do it again? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it definitely started out, I was very nervous because I like to be prepared for everything, and I wanted to know what I'm getting into coming into it. And I was still in college at the time I interviewed. So a lot of people interviewing for the position I'm interviewing for are older than me. And I'm like, I was a little nervous, but I remember by the time I got to the third interview, just the third pairing, just really loosening up. And I did. I had fun. I was paired with someone else who was interviewing for a high-tech anthropology position, and we had to draw out, create some mock-ups for a screen for this thing that was being designed. And I remember we had all this fun coming up with all these ideas. And so it took me a little bit to warm up to it. But when I did, I actually really enjoyed it. And it felt, I don't know, just very different from any other interview I had ever done.
That is so cool. And just to make it clear for those who don't know Menlo, the high-tech anthropologists are kind of like your designers, right? They go out and...
a cross between a business analyst and a user interface designer.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's sort of the first step is the extreme interviewing. People go in and work in pairs, get set in a new pair, observed by Menlonians, who then decide who we invite back. Also, which, by the way, is also one of the fascinating things about this process, is that the existing employees are involved in hiring the new coworkers, which I think is a brilliant thing to do. So if you get hired back, if you sort of pass that step, what's the next step?
The next step is a one-day interview. We contract you to come in and work for a day. You're paired on typically client work with an existing Menlonian, and you spend the morning with one person. We buy you lunch and let you interact with a few more people in a less task-oriented atmosphere, so everybody can ask questions and see if they like each other. And then in the afternoon, you take the knowledge of what you worked on in the morning and you transfer that knowledge to another partner in the afternoon and spend the afternoon working with typically the fourth Menlonian you'll meet that day.
Mm-hmm. So on a real project for a real client, yeah.
And we recently had an extreme interviewing event, and I think even this week we have like 6 or 7 people coming through that next step. The one day we even have one person.
We have one today.
Yeah, Luna.
Oh, cool.
Today who's interviewing. So it's a very quick process. We did that extreme interview a couple weeks ago, and now we have the last few weeks people coming in to do their one-day interview, and they get to learn a little bit more about what the work is like. And yeah, they get to do a real project that they have no background in, no experience, but a lot of them, when we talk to them at the end of the day, will say, wow, I was surprised at how I could already add value because I'm paired in, and the person that I'm pairing with is helping coach me, and we're making progress together. And yeah, so in that interview, we're looking a little bit more at technical skills, and then again, still at the cultural fit.
And how well you learn and communicate. We love if we know you have experience in C++, for instance. We won't put you on a C++ project. We'll go, hey, we got some JavaScript over here.
Wow.
We want you to be a little out of your depth, because we want people that will admit when they're having trouble and open up and ask questions to the team, because that's how all of us learn. And we want people that are good learners.
I think that's fantastic. And I could also imagine that for the applicants, you get a real sense of what it's like to work at Menlo.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's not some glitzy marketing presentation. Here's our culture and our values. You're there. You're doing it for a whole day. You actually feel it, and you can.
We had one developer who was in last week for his one day and said, I know people at Menlo better in this one day of being here than I know coworkers that I've been working with. And I've been working at this other company for, I don't know how long he had been there, but he was surprised at how much you're interacting with people and getting to know people. And I think he was really drawn to the environment in that way.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and then if you pass that step, then what happens?
So some people were bringing in just for summer employment. So after this one-day interview, for the people who are only interested in summer employment, we'll make a decision, do we bring them on for the summer or not? For people who are looking to work here full-time, then the final step in the interview process is a 3-week trial, where it's the same as the one-day interview, but for an extended period, and working on different projects with different peer partners to see both for them and for us if it's a good fit. And it also helps us assess what level pay-wise they would come in at, because we're looking to see how quickly they're learning, what skills they're bringing in. So that's usually the final step in the interview process. But I would add too that even though once you make it through the 3-week trial, we're really all still interviewing all the time, because the team makes decisions around who to hire, who to let go. And sometimes after a period of time, like maybe somebody is no longer a good fit, and we give them feedback and have conversations to see if they can improve. But it's just something too that we all know. We're all always technically interviewing, but
the team decides for promotions as well.
Yep.
So advancement is based on not impressing our bosses, Rich and James. It's not about doing a single thing or performing really well the month before your annual performance comes up. It's about consistently adding value to the team. And we don't have amazing triggers, but usually you can go, hey, I need some feedback. I'm wondering how I'm doing. And you can get that. People take time aside from project work. We believe strongly enough in that we will give you some time during your billable week to do personnel, to give and get feedback on how you're doing and how you're helping the team and what you can do in the future.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny too. Some people will think that, if I Rich and James they have input, who are the founders of the company, and if I have a good conversation with them, I can get hired. And they say they get all these emails from people, and Rich will write them back and say, I have no decision-making authority in who to bring onto the team, that it's all the team's decision. And they're happy to pass along resumes, but know that it's not them, it's the team who will be working with the people that we bring on that makes the decisions.
Wow. Yeah, Rich was giving a tour with a group that was very interested in our hiring and our culture. And we were doing, at the end of a one day, everybody that worked with them or interacted with them has a little 15-minute meeting of, do we like them? Should we bring them back? What qualities did we see? If they come back, what instruction would we have for them? And Rich goes, oh, can I come? Can we bring the tour? Like, sure. It's your company, I guess you can come. And he was standing there and somebody asked him a question. He goes, I don't know. I've never been in one of these before. He had no idea what was on the little form we were filling out or what we were going to discuss, because he had never been a part of this part of the vetting to the hiring process.
That is just brilliant. I'm wondering, what's your success rate on this? I mean, how, of all the candidates that end up being hired, how often do you get it wrong? Do you have any idea? Does it happen at all, or?
Occasionally, but not very often, I would say. Because the whole 3-week period we're putting them through a couple different projects, and we're very intentional about who to pair them with, what projects to put them on. And we're also giving them feedback throughout the 3-week trial. So at the end of each week, they're getting feedback from the team on here's what to work on, and here's what we want to see moving forward. Here's the things we see you doing really well. I think we do a pretty good job. There are times where, every so often, where you'll be like, maybe someone the learning curve is not, is steeper than we would expect, but we also, the team makes a decision to say, we really want to invest in this person and we see potential, and it's really a question of, is the team helping support that person and helping them to grow, or is it really not a fit? But it doesn't feel like that often.
It feels, most of the time we do very well.
Yeah. But I think it's because we're so thoughtful in the interview process and we have all these different steps.
And people have a very good taste of Menlo before they come in and commit to working for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We get some people after a 1 day or a few days into a 3-week, and they go, it's cool what you guys do, but it's not for me. I miss my earbuds and I want a cubicle where I can just write code for 12 or 14 hours in a row. That's great, but that's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's got to be one of the huge advantages, because there are many companies where you get hired off, one interview, maybe two. And how on earth do you know if this is the culture that fits you, if you're good for the job, if you're right for the culture? What other advantages do you guys see from this? This is a very different process compared to what most companies do. What advantages do you see from this process?
Well, I think it's huge that I can say I enjoy coming to work every day. I enjoy the people that I work with. Like, I have so many people that I'll talk to that'll say, oh, I love my job, but this person drives me crazy, or this manager is awful to work with, or I feel like we don't have that here because we all get along. It feels almost more like family. I know it sounds maybe kind of corny, but it does, And everybody, not only we're working together, but people actually care about each other too, because we're hiring for those kind of
and
characteristics.
Even if you don't love everybody every day.
That's true. We're not all best friends.
It's like a family in regards that if somebody's doing something that's frustrating you, you don't go, whatever, I'll deal with that later. You go, hey, you keep hogging the keyboard, or you cut me off every time I go to ask a question, and you head it off quick because you're working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we hire people that go, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. I'll make an effort. Tell me when I'm doing this. Remind me. We work a lot of that, not just feedback on the big picture of roles and levels like we mentioned, but in the minute every day go, and not just hey, that bothers me when you do that, but, oh, that's really good. And hey, I can tell you're really working on stuff and learning stuff and improving.
Yeah, Kevin brings up a really good point. I don't think the interviewing process and us working together, if we weren't so open with giving each other feedback, that's like such a critical piece of it, is this open dialogue back and forth. And there's never wondering like, how am I doing?
And your hiring process, make sure you hire people who are open to that kind of feedback. Yeah. Are there any disadvantages, drawbacks you see? Anything that, any negative sides to this hiring approach?
I'm sure we lose some people that can't commit a few weeks of their life to try us.
Sure.
That's a drawback.
Sometimes too, I wonder if we might lose some people in the extreme interview, because like I'm very introverted too, and I could see someone like a Scott is actually a great example. We tell his story a lot. So he was a developer here, very, very shy, and his partners couldn't get him to speak up and talk, and so he didn't make it through the first extreme interview.
I think he did 2 extreme interviews and then 2 3 weeks. After a 3-week trial, they weren't ready to commit.
They're like, he still wasn't interacting with his partners, and they couldn't tell what was going on in his head, and so he's someone that could have fallen through the cracks, I would say, but he's like an awesome team member. Now he's been here for years, and the team kind of like sat down with him and said, Scott, we need to know what's going on in your head. And now like we never have a question about it. He's like warmed up, but some people, it takes a little bit of time to warm up to other people in this kind of environment.
I think that's feedback a lot of us get. Most of the team, if you ask, would self-describe as introverts. The fact that you have an interesting task to do and someone to do it with opens up a line of communication. I got feedback a lot of times that the same thing. We don't know what's going on in your head when you're sitting there quiet. We don't know if you're thinking about the task or if you're just off to Tahiti. So I learned to verbalize when I'm thinking, to check in with my partner and make sure that they know things.
Oh, that's Scott right behind you too.
Tell him hi.
Actually, working with Scott once, we were trying to read a document, and he got over that shyness, and he keeps talking, and I go, Scott, I can't read when you're talking. When you're quiet for 3 minutes, I'll get through this, whenever that 3 minutes is. And he's like, but I could say that to him without offending him, upsetting him.
But it's a different thing that I think that a lot of us had to learn. When people come to work here, you're not used to being with someone all day and constantly having to explain the thoughts going on through your head. So it's something that you learn. I think another thing we've had to change slightly in our interview process is, yes, we hire first for what we call the kindergarten skills and the cultural fit. I think we've had to start to look more at technical skills too, because we have so many people that interview and want to come work here. And the types of projects, I would say, over the years have gotten more technical, where we're looking to see, I would say maybe even a little sooner, is there a potential technical fit too? But I think that's just happened as the business has grown and the kind of clientele has changed to something that we start to look at more.
Fantastic.
But primarily, it's still always the cultural fit.
I think definitely, if you fit the culture and you have technical skills, you're going to be more interesting than somebody who fits the culture and doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But we still have room for an extreme interview we did 2 or 3 interviews ago. There was a guy who was awful. Awful for us. He might be a good person. I hear was a great programmer, but did not fit. Even though he had lots of technical skills, actually specific technical skills, we wanted to land a project. We're like, ooh, this is really cool. And he was awful. He would have been toxic to our environment. So we couldn't hire him.
Yeah.
We could have hired him. It would have been awful to work with him. Lisa mentioned earlier, one of the questions we ask is, would you want to pair with this person? So when you have that person that has great technical skills and a horrible personality, I don't want to say horrible personality, a personality that doesn't fit well with our team, the question of, do you want to pair with them, weeds a lot of that out.
Yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of people are focused on hiring. They're focused on hiring the right people, but there's also such a thing as not hiring the wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a fascinating process. I can tell you, you guys inspired us because a couple of years ago, we needed two interns. And we're like, I just couldn't face going through, you know, 15 job interviews. So we took the 15 most viable candidates. We brought them in for an afternoon. We paired them up. We made them work on tasks that were similar to what they would be doing for us. We gave them new partners. We observed them. We gave them the same instructions. It's not about solving the task. It's about making your partner look good. And we found two awesome candidates that were very different in personality and style, but who ended up working really, really well together on two projects for us. So we tried it ourselves. It totally works. So thank you guys for sharing all these tips, and thank you guys for being an inspiration. And congratulations, Lisa, on the next Menlo baby.
Yeah.
Will you be taking the baby to work you can at Menlo? Yeah.
And I brought my first to work with me, and I plan to bring this one as well.
What's your second Menlo baby?
Yes. Yeah.
How awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you.